How's it going, everyone? In this video I'm going to be showing you how to take apart the LG V50. As always, I try to get these disassemblies out to you guys as soon as possible. Go ahead and remove the SIM tray on the side of the phone. First thing you're going to do, you're going to heat the back up a little bit to loosen up the adhesive underneath the back plate. Once you've done so, use a plastic pry tool, something thin enough to be able to get into one of the corners or edges underneath the glass and the frame of the phone. And then once you have it in, just work your way completely around the phone to loosen up the adhesive. Alright, once you went around the phone completely with your pry tool, go ahead and lift up the glass. So here's the back. There's the fingerprint scanner right there. So at this point you can see the white diffuser over here, which diffuses the light for the logo light that lights up in the back. It's right there, the 5G. And just to note, it's possible that not every variant of this phone will have that light up logo. It just depends on the market and the carrier that's releasing it. And also down here you can see the gold points over here, which make a connection with the gold points here. And then these contacts touch the contacts on the casing for the dual screen, for the LG dual screen. Now there are 12 Phillips screws throughout the phone. Go ahead and remove all 12 screws. Now once you have the screws removed, we're going to be removing the plastic cover over here on top along with the wireless charging coil over here. Also, to show you guys, these are the contacts that make a connection with the board for the LED lights, which light up this diffuser over here. You'll see the LED right there. Next, we're going to disconnect the battery cable located over here by just popping it up. Now go ahead and disconnect the cable over here on the side. And then once that's disconnected, we're going to remove the speaker assembly down here. It has a fairly large speaker, as you can see. Now you also have some antenna lines running through this plastic assembly over here for the speaker assembly. You have these contact points over here. You have these white lines, as you can see, that are running through it. Right here, right here. On the opposite side, you can see these lines running through them. Now these can either be for the Wi-Fi or for the cellular. Alright, next we're going to disconnect the cable over here for the front-facing cameras. And then we're going to disconnect the cable for the screen. Now you have two more cables over here, the white and the black one. Go ahead and disconnect those. Alright, next, in order to remove the front-facing cameras, we're going to have to lift the board up just a little bit. Slide these out. And here's a closer look at the cameras. And at this point we're just going to lift the board. Be careful the cables don't get stuck underneath. And it's also connected to this cable over here that goes for the charger port, so be careful, you're just going to lift it up. And you're going to have to disconnect it from underneath. So on the back of the board you can see the thermal pad over here, which makes contact with the vapor chamber over here, the copper vapor chamber. And if you want to remove the cameras, you just disconnect this cable over here and the one right here, and they're sitting on this metal plate right here, which you'd pry off from the main board. So this camera over here is going to be the 12 megapixel telephoto lens. This one's going to be the 16 megapixel super wide lens, and this one's going to be the 12 megapixel standard lens right here. This camera and this camera have the image stabilization. As far as the vapor chamber goes, it looks thicker than the previous ones I've seen on other phones. It looks almost double the size. I'm not going to pry it up because I'm planning on using this phone, so I don't want to damage it. But you can see over here, it's pretty thick. Alright, next there's a Phillips screw over here holding down the headphone jack. Go ahead and unscrew that. Then go ahead and disconnect the cable over here holding it down by popping it up. And then next go ahead and just pop it up. Remove that. Now you have another black cable over here on the corner. Pop that up. Disconnect it. And then we're going to pry up this flex cable for the charger port. And then be careful, the microphone over here is held on with adhesive, so we're gonna have to pry that up as well. Alright, once you got that loose, you can remove charger port right here. Charger port also has a blue gasket around it. Now to the battery. Yes, it doesn't have any pull tabs to make it easier for you to remove, but it is replaceable. There's some slits over here, openings on the sides that allow you to put some plastic tools and stuff and pry that off. So we're gonna start working our way in. So there you go. There's the battery removed. And here's the adhesive underneath it. Yeah, it is very strong adhesive, and the way they did it, I mean, it doesn't make it easier to remove, but just make sure when you're trying to remove it, if you have to, use plastic tools and don't use any metal or anything like that, and take your time, be patient so you don't pierce the battery or damage it. So at this point, you're left with the frame, the screen that's attached to the frame, obviously, your vibrator motor over here, your volume keys over here on the side. Here's a flex cable that leads to them. There's this plastic piece you'd have to remove basically to get access to that. You also have one of your antennas over here, which is built into the frame right here, this plastic right here. And it connects to the black cable that was connected over here earlier where we disconnected. And you can see down here, that's where it makes connection with the antenna on the frame. And you got other flex cable over here for the switch on this side. And you have your earpiece speaker up here, which is fairly a large one for an earpiece that I've seen. Alright, so now we're going to reassemble the phone. First thing we're going to do to make it easier for us, we're going to connect the charger port flex back to the bottom of the board. Next, we're going to put the charger port back in its place. Pull it back in. We're going to put the board back in, make sure your cables don't get stuck underneath. And then put your microphone back in the slot. Just pop it back in. And then we're going to reconnect these cables over here. And then we're going to reconnect this cable over here that goes for the antenna. I'll go ahead and reconnect the screen cable. Now we're going to put the headphone jack back in. Go ahead and connect the cable. And then screw it back in. Now we're going to put the speaker assembly back in. Slide it in, pop it in its place. And then go ahead and reconnect it back to the main board. Now we're going to lift up the main board just a little bit. Slide the front facing cameras back in. Put the main board back down, and then reconnect the cameras to the main board. Now at this point we're going to put the battery back in. The old adhesive is strong enough to reuse. Press down so it reattaches itself, and then we're going to reconnect it back to the main board. And then we're going to put the top cover back over. Pop back in place. Now you're ready to put the screws back in. Now at this point, apply some new adhesive on the back plate if you need it, and then go ahead and reapply it back to the back of the phone. Go ahead and power on the phone, and you're done. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video.